I'm sitting on my patio today. We're gonna go through, I decided I'm gonna do a garden tour. Now, I live in the suburbs, so it's not a big garden. So we do container gardening here. We just purchased our 37 acres up north, so hopefully next summer I'm gonna have a real big, huge plot. Last summer we tried to do a patio container garden, but I put it in the back and my dog literally dug up the whole thing. So we've now moved to the front patio where there's no dog. It has become a little bit of a challenge because it's a covered patio. So we have this huge, and I'll show you here in a minute, but it's like a huge overhang that covers the patio. And then we have the neighbor's big tree and then our big tree. And then we have some huge bushes and walls. So getting sun can be kind of a problem. So I've had to kind of rearrange things around and move things into different areas, and hopefully we're catching enough sun. So there's a gazillion and a half flies because I just used fish fertilizer on the tomatoes and the greens, and so they like that stuff. It's smelly out here because it smells like the fish guts, but it's gonna help the tomatoes, especially. Tomatoes love fish. That was like the old thing to do, is you buried a dead fish under your tomato plant and it helped with the yield. But before we get started on our garden tour, I did want to talk a little bit about preparation day. So today is Friday. It's the day before Shabbat. So today is the day that we get everything ready for Shabbat. So the idea on Shabbat is it's a day of rest. No cooking, no work, no, you're not supposed to kindle a fire. So I'm still trying to figure out what that means for us biblically. But we try to not really do much heating. So we are Torah observant Christians, which means we observe the Torah, but we don't follow Talmudic and rabbinic law. So we try to interpret the Torah as best as we can, but I know that like Orthodox Jewish and conservative Jewish people do a little bit more, and so we try to take some of their ideas because, for example, my coffee pot, I keep it on, so it's already preheated and ready to go, and then that way I'm not turning it on. I want to get an electric kettle that's just always on. And then, we cook all our food the day before. So for breakfast tomorrow, we're having hard-boiled eggs, fruit. The kids will have some leftover challah, and we'll have, I'll have some crackers, some paleo crackers, and the kids will have some cheese slices. I may or may not have that. Probably have some collagen and a cup of coffee, and that'll be our breakfast. So then for lunch, I made some tuna salad. So I'll have tuna salad and crackers, and then hummus. I bought some hummus and some sweet potato chips. And then the kids will have the hummus with some tortilla chips. And so that's kind of what we do. And then we do a late Shabbat service that we go to. And then afterwards we kind of go out to dinner as a family to kind of end the Shabbat. And that's just our tradition, after sundown. So it starts, for us, we celebrate where it starts sundown to sundown, as the Hebrew calendar suggests, we believe. So that's how we do Shabbat. Different people do Shabbat different. And if you do Shabbat different, that's fine. We do it our way. Please don't yell at me in the comments because we do it different. And if you do it different, that's awesome. Shalom to you. That's amazing. This is just how we have chosen and have interpreted it. So actually I get my kids involved, and we all kind of do a light cleaning. We do a light cleaning before Shabbat because I was doing a real deep cleaning before Shabbat. And it was horrible because I'd get so stressed out because Shabbat, you're not cleaning. And I really don't even sweep, but we do have an electric, like, robot, like the robo, whatever. It's a Shark, but it's like the robotic vacuum. And I will run that sometimes because I have 6 children and a lot of them. And so we get everything that we made a mess of on Shabbat, we get it all picked up the first day of the week. So that's how we celebrate first day. And Shabbat literally means 7th day. And the reason that we have Shabbat is because in 6 days the Lord made the earth, and then the 7th day he rested. And it is a holy day, so we set it apart. And we just try to do everything we can to make it set apart. So we watch movies about Jesus, or Yeshua would be his Hebrew name. So we watch movies about him as a family. And we read from the Bible, and we eat a big meal on the evening and celebrate together as a family. And we just kind of try to make it a light, relaxing day. I'm still trying to figure out, like, I don't know, like, with what the kids can do and what we can do. Like, it's not supposed to be a day where you do your own thing. It's supposed to be a day to honor God, honor Yahweh. So we're still trying to figure out how that works out for our family. We're relatively new. One day I'll maybe share my story with what brought me to Torah and brought our family to Torah. Not today. Too much to do because I still got to get dinner finished. My daughter, my teenager, actually is making the lasagna. We're having lasagna for Shabbat. I usually like vegetable, like zucchini lasagna, but I don't have any zucchini right now. So we did have a box of leftover gluten-free lasagna noodles that she's making, and we have some nice grass-fed beef and organic tomato sauce, and she's mixing that up, and we have some organic cottage cheese and the herbs that I did not show you. I'm not going to show you the herbs because I missed that part. But yeah, some herbs in our garden, and yeah, so that will be our dinner for tonight, and she's making that. It's the beauty of having a teenager. So Shabbat Shalom, and I hope you have a blessed weekend. So here's our patio that I'm talking about. Don't mind all my kids' stuff. So it's, as you can see, it's really covered. So see, it's all covered. But here's our little bed. This has some green leaf lettuce right here. That's great. I keep getting these little mushroomy things popping up in here because I don't even know why, but they're all over. That's like my weeds, is these little mushroom things. I'm constantly picking them out. But there's like 6 or 7 of them in here. This is ridiculous. You don't think of Central Arizona for having mushrooms. So there's another one. Look at that. That's ridiculous. Oh my gosh. And they're different kinds too. So we have some kale over here. See, it's kind of spindly, so I'm still kind of trying to figure out how to lush these up. I've thinned it out. There's more. I've thinned it out quite a bit. So I'm waiting as they grow to try to see which ones are going to do the best. And those will be the ones that we keep to do the square foot area gardening. I've also kind of taken them by the root for some of them and moved them so that way the areas that are super congested, I can still salvage some of the lettuce. Or the kale. So the same with the kale or the lettuce. So here's all my lettuce, and that's doing pretty well. So, but later I planted that way earlier than the stuff I planted over here. And this is just starting to kind of, I noticed some little sprouts today. Where'd they go? Snaps. And then on this side it was chives. So here's some tiny little chives. You can see. They're just tiny, so it's easy to lose where they went. But luckily there's more of the parsnips popping up than I saw earlier, so that's good. So I was worried that they had gotten, see there, it's right there. They're tiny. They're so tiny. Parsnips are just like carrots, so the tops are going to look a lot like a carrot. But I was worried that they kept getting too dried out in between the waterings, and that maybe they weren't going to, oops, see, here's another chive right there, that they weren't going to sprout, but it looks like we're doing well. So over here in this little garden bed, well, or whatever you want to call it, this is my calendula flowers. I don't know if I have to thin these out or not. I'm going to try and let it go and see how they go. These are going to be great. I'm going to make some herbal salves with it. And so that'll be fun, and I'll make some videos about that when these flower out and I can make some salves with it. And then down here is the poppies. That's mainly just to draw in the pollinators, and they're really pretty. So I got some poppies and that stuff. And then over here, we're gonna come over here. Here's my aloe. My kids keep picking off the tops of the leaves, and it's not doing all that great. But here's my watermelon. We have to transplant that, but I needed to get some more dirt. So it's actually doing really well. And then over here, I bought these bags, and I should probably, oh my gosh, it looks like somebody was messing around in here. Oh, kids. I bought these bags to see how they'll do. They're soft-sided, so tomatoes in containers tend to get root bound, and the thing with root bound in containers, you know, or in the soft-sided containers, is it lets the roots still kind of grow through a little bit. So it still lets the roots do what they need to do without combining it. So these are my tomatoes, and I'll give it a good water here in a minute because they need some more water. We didn't get it deep enough, I don't think, yesterday. And we just transplanted these yesterday. And then I'm wondering if, I don't know who did that. So, yeah, so these are doing great. These are thriving in these little containers here. And it stinks with the fish stuff in it though. But yeah, so we'll see as they grow and hopefully do well in these containers, and we get a nice big huge yield of tomatoes. Over here in one of these soft-sided ones, I have my, here, I'll go around the other side. A bit easier to see. But I have my sweet potatoes. So as you can see, they were started in my kitchen, but that's just a couple weeks growth. You see how big these are? It's huge. Like, this is huge. It's like 2 feet, maybe 3 feet tall. And this one, it was almost completely buried yesterday. This one right here. And now it's already a good 2 inches above the ground just yesterday. So these are growing super fast. I'm really hoping that they do well in this container. We'll see. It's my first time growing sweet potatoes in a container. It's my first time growing sweet potatoes, I think. So, okay, so there's that. And then over here, we have my squash. The watermelon's gonna go in this spot back here. But here I have different squash. I have zucchini and crookneck squash, both of them. So that'll be a lot of squash because there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 plants of them. And so we're gonna actually put these up on, what do you call it, like the tomato stakes, to vertically do them. So we're gonna see, I've seen people do really well that way with squash. So we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping that it helps it so it's not just all over the ground out here, and that it actually produces better. So see how the flies just flying all around because they just love this fertilizer. They just absolutely love it. So this is my first time growing, actually even getting to this point. And we started the tomatoes and the watermelon and the squash indoors. We started them by seed indoors. And then I just direct sowed the lettuce, the calendula, the poppies, and the parsnips and chives. So we'll see how they're doing. The lettuce and the kale is doing pretty well. So, and they seem to have grown up even more since I put the fertilizer on there yesterday. So I'm really hoping that with all of these things see the problem here in central Arizona is our sun. You always hear like tomatoes love sun and squash love sun and watermelon love sun and all these plants love sun. Well, the sun is so intense here. The squash I had actually started on the other side of the yard where there's not an overhang, and they were in the direct sun, and it's only like just barely April. So I moved them like a week ago when it was still March, and they were already having major issues with scorching. Like the leaves were getting burnt. There was little brown spots and they were yellowing. So I brought them over here. We have still, like, some of the leaves have some brown spots because it's not going to go away. It's burnt. But the new leaves seem like they're doing really well. And it gets the morning sun. So this over here on this side, right over here, the morning sun comes in. And so then we don't get the afternoon sun where it's really intense. And so, but it still gets about 6 hours of sun over here. And so I think that's plenty of sun. And so hopefully, but the thing that's nice about the containers is I can move them. If it's not getting enough sun, I can move it out into the direct sun. So I can put it out there and then I can move it back later in the afternoon. So if it needs like a couple more hours of sun, I can put it out in the direct sun and then move it back under the shade for the late afternoon when it's really intense. So I'm hoping that would work because I've never really had luck growing in the desert, in the southern, like the low deserts. So we'll hopefully be able to get some nice yields this year. I'm really positive about it. I feel positive about it. I feel like we have some good like plans and we have some good like set up so that it will work really well. So I'll keep you updated as the garden continues to grow. So today is, I hope you have a blessed weekend and Shabbat Shalom. Hit the subscribe button down below and the notification bell. And thanks for stopping by my channel. I hope you come by again.